And just so I can formally introduce myself, I am Angela JOLLIVETTE, owner of MOONBABY Media. I am a music supervisor, producer, DJ, music aficionado, all these great things, but I'm also the Lord's daughter. So this is something I've prayed about for a very long time. My career has just led me to this place. And I was actually supposed to do this event Grammy Week. And then unfortunately our city suffered a great loss with the fires, and it was something that I had to, unfortunately, I thought about it, and it just wasn't the right time. And so here we are today doing it a couple months later, but at the right time. So I'm just really happy everyone showed up. My family's here, some of my really, really good friends are here, and some new friends are here. So I look forward to meeting all of you, and thank you for being here today. So I'm going to introduce my panel. I'm going to do it a little differently because I have a relationship with everybody of sorts. But we'll just start with right to left here, and then I'll do a little intro myself. So, Chris, yep.
Hey, everyone. Chris Lakey. I'm the SVP of Global Creative Sync at KOBALT Music. Little backstory, born and raised in LA, grew up in Leimert Park, went to USC for music school, graduated from there, started working at Universal Music Publishing for 6 years, and came over to a small upstart company called KOBALT. I've been there for 17 years. So, and then just in general, thank you, dated myself. So just so you know, like in short, what I do is I oversee a team of 28 people globally. I have a team in LA, New York, Miami, Berlin, Stockholm, Paris, Sydney, and Hong Kong. And really what me and my team are doing are trying to get KOBALT's music in films, TV, ads, trailers, and anything sync. I primarily work on film, so I work with all the big traditional film studios, all the streamers, independent music supervisors, and then again, my team is doing the same thing just across the board. And then just for scale, KOBALT is number 4, sometimes number 3 music publisher globally. Work with artists from Childish Gambino to Kelly Price to Kid Cudi, Busta Rhymes, but then we have catalog like Fleetwood Mac. And Angela and I met like, I don't know, so many years ago. And just doing business together, but then also became friends, and she invited me here, so glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
Yo, man, how y'all feeling? Hey, if God been good to you, say amen. Amen. Yeah, love to hear it. Man, my name is C5 from the other side, and I'm a conduit of the Most High. He gave me a gift to make music, and I've been doing that for 17 years, since I was 13 years old. And man, I'm having fun, man. I'm grateful to be here. This is my first panel. So shout out to Angela for having me. We can make some noise for that, too.
And that was all divine. Just so you know, like, I had one more person that I needed on this panel. I'm very intentional about this circle that I put together, because this is really an organic roundtable conversation about this crossover in this space. And I had seen him before, Instagram. I had known, about his work. I knew he was from the Bay. I knew all that. But I don't know, I promise you, something led me to his page. I had no idea he was putting out a faith-based album. He had kind of changed the direction of his music. And I reached out to him and just invited him. And I didn't plan season 1's winner and season 2 of Rhythm and Flow, but God did. So he's here to talk about his journey.
God did. Alhamdulillah. But yeah, man, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have this conversation. I just dropped my new album, God Been Good to Me. So yeah, if y'all interested, man, I would appreciate if y'all check that out. It's on your Apple Music, Spotify, C5, God Been Good to Me. But yeah, man, thank y'all. I'm from Oakland, California too, by the way. But shout out LA. And all y'all look beautiful tonight too. Yeah, I love y'all.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? My name is Daniel D. Smoke Ferris. I'm from Inglewood, California. I'm the son of a minister of music, and I'm blessed to be born into a musical family who, prior to me, had already made waves in the industry. My uncle Andrew Goucher was Prince's last bass player and MD, and toured with Shaka Khan for years. And his first, Beyonce and Destiny's Child's first television appearance, he was playing bass for them. And I grew up watching music done at the highest level. My mom wrote a song called My Help that went across the globe. And so I've always grown up feeling very fortunate and trying to find my way in a very musical family. I was in acting as early as like 14. A mentor of mine by the name of Tasha Smith got me into that. And so, but I chose the college route, took a 20-year break and got back into it, not too long ago. So I'm just a blessed individual trying to make sure that I maximize these opportunities and that my impact matches the level of fortune that I've been blessed to experience. So hopefully anything I share with y'all might resonate, and vice versa. I'm already feeling inspired being on this panel. So quickly, Angela, who I forget is Angela because I only call her MOONBABY, she put in a very life-changing call for me. When she saw my stuff on Instagram, she hit, I don't know if you hit Battlecat or he hit you, or you saw it on his page, and then you hit the producers of Rhythm and Flow and was like, Hey, I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all need this kid on y'all show if y'all want somebody that's legitimate. And the rest is history.
Hello, everybody. My name is JALYN Nelson. I'm the genre manager for the gospel, children's, spoken word categories for the Grammys. I'll give a little background myself. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. I've been in Los Angeles for about 9 years now. While in college, I went to college in New Orleans. I went to Loyola University, New Orleans, majored in marketing, ended up working at the radio station in town, Cumulus Media, and that kind of got me my start in the music industry. I kept that throughout my college career until I graduated, moved to LA, and got a temp gig at the Grammys. And while I was a temp, that's when I first met Miss Angela here. And it's just really cool and full circle and inspiring to be here. I too come from a bit of a musical family. I have my uncle here in the audience, my uncle cousin. He's really my cousin, but he's kind of my uncle. His name's Jerry Peters. He is responsible for some of the best music y'all have ever heard, including the hit song Going in Circles that came out by Friends of Distinction way back when, but he's a legend, and so he's been a really cool mentor for me. And
So JALYN, I'll jump in now. So JALYN, I passed the torch to you. Like she said, we met at the Academy, and I actually was the gospel manager at the Grammys for a decade. So she started there, and some years later after I left, now she's holding that position down and doing a great job at it. And this is what this conversation is really about. And I see Kiana out there. Hey. So, this has been a passion for me for a while because this has been my journey in the music industry. I felt like going to the Grammys, that was an assignment from above. Doing the gospel genre, that wasn't necessarily the genre I wanted to do. And I thought I was going to get in it and I was going to move on and do something else. But God said, nope, this is it. This is where you're staying. And so I accepted that assignment, and then I went on to do television and film as well while I was there, overseeing the awards for Best Composition, Score, Song Written for Motion Picture Television. And that really aligned me to be where I am today. So where the opportunity came with Greenleaf, the first show that I worked on was the fact that I oversaw television and film and I oversaw gospel music. So in Oprah's mind, I was credible to step into this role, and God qualified me in a position that I had never done before. And a lot of success happened in a short period of time after that. 6 months after I left there, I had a #1 soundtrack. I had NAACP award, I had Stellar Awards, I had #1 songs. So God showed me, this is the path, this is the next assignment. In that, there was an artist that I work with by the name of Corinne Harthon, who the song was Won't He Do It? And I A&R'd that record for Greenleaf, wrote her into the script, and put that into one of the scenes for her to perform. She was off The Voice, which was a big deal for her, wanting to go into the crossover space as a gospel artist. RCA Inspiration signed her, and then that was a priority for the label, so we got her this record and then put her on television. The rest was history. She went #1 45 weeks, the longest ever running #1 for a female gospel artist. And thank you. We went gold, and just 7 years later, October, we went platinum. So God's hands is on that for sure. But that just leads me to talking about, JALYN, the categories at the Grammys. So when I oversaw the category, there was gospel album and then there was CCM album. And this is still this way 7 years later. And, CCM is contemporary Christian music. Gospel album is gospel music. But music has changed a lot in the last 5 years, 2 years, the last 6 months, in the way artists are creating in this space. The Generation Zs, the millennials, they are not making traditional gospel anymore. Christian hip hop has emerged. I watched it from the beginning of my career at the Grammys. The production level wasn't where it is today. It wasn't taken seriously like it is today. And it's rapid momentum right now behind it. Lecrae was like the godfather of it all, and he started this off. But there's another generation in a space and a gap that needs to be bridged. So that is where a lot of my heart has come from, because I've watched this, and God has given me this unique view in this space for so long to follow this journey. And so with the categories now, JALYN and I are working to make some changes to the categories because they no longer really represent the artists that are emerging today. Hillsong can't go up against Miles Minnick. Like, all of that it's not set up properly right now. So that is something that we're actively working on. But all that to say, this space has been something that I have been just aligned and felt like an assignment. And it's a really hard sell, in Hollywood when it comes to faith-based content. I've also been trying to sell a television series in this space. So when I worked on Black Ink Crew, that was a huge opportunity for me to put artists in position in this space specifically. Coming out of 2020, the storylines that the producers needed music for were about being triumphant, overcoming, celebratory, and coming out of COVID. And I couldn't go to a lot of traditional hip-hop artists for that type of lyrical content. So I had to go to inspirational Christian hip-hop artists. I had to, because I needed my lyrical, subject matter to match the beats that I needed, basically. So that just really afforded the opportunity for me to put gospel artists in place on television. And it wasn't Greenleaf, it wasn't Sunday's Best, it was a pop culture show. So even now, like if I'm not on a show that's gospel aligned, I'm looking for these artists. And this is just my passion in wanting to now make them mainstream and not, oh, that's gospel music. No, that needs to come into the forefront. Because as a culture, faith is the culture, we need to make sure that we are uplifting each other and we're bringing positive energy into the world. So all that to say, I want to talk to D Smoke really quick about, what he said. So the casting producers called me and wanted me to give them referrals for Rhythm and Flow Season 1. And when I first reached out to you, you kind of were hesitant because you're like, I'm not that type of
Very hesitant.
artist. And I get that, because television will take you and morph you into something else that you don't want to be seen as, you don't want to represent yourself like that. And you have always not been a gospel rapper, but you are very spiritual, you're very centered, you're very conscious, and you speak about those things. So how do you feel like television ultimately has helped you? Because I just feel like that's the ultimate sync that you got, to have that type of marketing on a major network like Netflix.
Got you. Well, First, and I'll be sure to answer the question on how it's helped me, but I want to be clear that I wasn't wrong in that the show was gonna push me in certain ways that I wasn't comfortable. And what I was fortunate to hear prior to it was that the producers told me, like, whatever you give us, that's what the world is gonna see. We're not the boogeyman. We're not gonna try to make you out to be anything. Not explicitly, but what ended up happening is that every kind of independent department was like, we're supposed to do this with you in order to prepare you, right? Whether it be makeup, whether it be the wardrobe department, and it's like, you gotta be more of this, you know? So it wasn't that they were necessarily trying to sabotage me in that sense, but it was my sense of purpose, self-direction versus what they think is a major artist looks, sounds, and feels like. So that did happen, and I tell a lot of people it's not just a competition in rapping. It's a group of people that can rap, you know. I think it required a certain level of discipline and alignment, and I was just in a beautiful place at the time where God could use me, and I felt like I was standing in the middle of my own miracle. Like, I looked around like, dang, this is for me. Like, by the end of it, I was like, this was for me, you know, but it required all of me, you know, and all of my faith, because there was a time when I was like there was a time, every show I was nervous, out of my mind, you know, and I don't think people could see it, but that was the reality. And I think what God will do is keep you on the edge of your abilities so that you could stay in faith, like just beyond what you're capable of by yourself, so that you could be like, that wasn't just me. Like, if it's within your comfort zone, you could take credit for it. But if it's just outside of it, you like, whoo, we did that, you know? And so I want to make sure that I paint that picture accurately, because I told them no before I decided to do it. And I think you can, as artists, as writers, you can always wholeheartedly make a decision when you're willing to walk away from it. If you feel like you need it, you don't know if you're being coaxed into it or enticed. But if you like, look, I want to do it when it's right, then you'll know when it is. So, but how it has helped me, I mean, you know, you can't beat 171 countries all at once. You know what I'm saying? You can't beat
The ultimate stage.
You can't beat literally, like, one night, 300,000 followers. You can't beat refreshing your page and seeing 5,000 a second. Like, and so, and it wasn't just the show, because I've sat with the producers who've also said, like, look, as much as a favor as the show has done for you, you've legitimized it. There's a million ways to do that wrong, right? And wrong in the sense that the hip hop community doesn't embrace it that same way. So because I had a strong team, a strong spiritual background, a strong family, and so much at my back, you could sense that on the camera, and that's the favor was mutual. But my life has been different since. I haven't had to make any huge compromises in order to keep my career going. And it's not just because of the show, but the way I went into it. And if you move authentically from jump, then, you know, the impact you make will be lasting versus, like, fleeting. So.
Well, I'm glad you stuck with it, because I remember having that conversation, and I was like, look, just see if you make it to point A to point B. Go to the audition. See if you get on it. Just get in there and let God do what he does for you. And that's what happened, and you won the whole damn thing, D Smoke. So congratulations. So that takes me over to season 2 over here, which, you know, I heard from the producers this time that there was this story arc with more faith-based artists competing this time around. And I watched maybe a couple episodes, and I saw glimpses of that, but I didn't see it wholeheartedly. But, you know, I know you were a part of that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what that experience was like for you going into the competition and where you were with putting this type of project out?
Yeah, so the competition, I don't know if y'all seen it. I was on Rhythm and Flow season 2. I did the audition, and they had chose me. They flew me out, and I was like, man, I got this in the bag. Like, man, I got this in the bag. So I do the first like it was like heck auditions, but this is the one that was gonna be on TV. So I get up there, I do my thing. Man, I lost. And I thought I had it in the bag. I ain't get past the first round.
Who was the judge that, you know, gave you your feedback that
Man,
came in first?
they all kind of was on my head. I feel like they was kind of hard on me for real. It was Luda, and he was like my first ever favorite rapper. Man, but shout out Luda, man. It was a Big Sean and DJ Khaled. They all kind of gave me some kind of tough criticism, and then Lotto didn't even say nothing. But
She left you on red, she didn't say nothing to you?
huh?
Just left you on red, she didn't say nothing?
Yeah, she ain't really say nothing.
What song did you do? Did you do a faith-based?
Maybe she did me a favor, because it was like they all three then kind of gave me the thumbs down. But what was your question?
Did you do a faith-based hip-hop record? Like, what type of record did you do for them?
I did just like, I wouldn't say, I call my music high vibrational hip hop. So it was something like high vibrational. I don't know if I said God's name in the song, but you know, you could feel it. Like, I don't feel like I gotta say his name every song. But yeah, so I did the performance. They told me no, and man, I feel like it was just like a very humbling moment. Man, I got off stage, I went back to the hotel, and man, I dropped some thug tears. For real. I dropped some thug tears, like I was crying. Cried. Yeah, man, man, I got in my head, I'm like, man, I started doubting myself, questioning, like, bro, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I've been doing this 17 years, like, damn, like, I was just having a lot of doubt. It's probably about like 2 hours, I'm just in my head. And then I just snapped out it like the devil is a liar, bruh. He's a liar. So I snapped out of it, and, you know, I picked myself back up. And, you know, I was like, man, it's all part of the story. Like, people gonna see this. It's gonna be out there for the world to see. Like, man, C5 took that L, but, man, look where he at now. He kept going. It's gonna add to the testimony. It's gonna make my story more lit. I always be saying, man, my documentary is gonna be lit, bro. My biopic, it's about to be popping. So, yeah, it make things, you know, interesting. Like, I've been on an adventure. So yeah, that's what happened with the Rhythm and Flow, and I just kept going. I'm still going. I'm doing great. I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on making it that far, because I'm sure, obviously, there's a lot of people competing for that spot either way. And once again, that's still a sync placement for you, because it's an opportunity that God gave you to be on national television. To even
I start looking at the positives. It's like, man, I'm on Netflix. I'm on Netflix. They flew me out. I got to see my family because my family was out there. I just started looking, you know, I always try to flip a negative into a positive, and that's what I would just be doing with my music, man. I go in the studio, and I use it as a tool. I talk to myself and tell myself what I need to hear. So I got a song called, like, Too Blessed to Be Stressed. That day I was really stressed out, I remember. And I went in there, and I told myself, bro, you too blessed to be stressed. I made a whole song about it. And it just so happens to be that, you know, a lot of people is going through the same things in different ways, so people just tend to connect to the music. And God is at the center of my life, so you're going to hear him in the music. But I feel like my music is about my life experiences, my trials, my tribulations, and I'm just speaking life into myself.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you and what you're doing, and it's going to help a lot of people, no matter what. Your failures, your wins, all that, that always helps people through. You never know when people are watching you. So just keep going, because God been good to you. So.
Man, God been good to me. Hey, all the worst things that happened to me end up being the best things that happened to me.
Amen. So, Chris, let's talk about like the faith-based artists in the publishing space? Like I know you work with Reach Records, you work with LAKEY, they get a ton of syncs. You know, faith-based music is huge in sports, NFL, NBA. They're getting a lot of looks in those spaces. So have you seen like growth in this space in publishing on your side in the last even year or two?
Yeah, I mean, look, for what I do in sync is I always say that I'm trying to combine two arts together, right? So I work with like directors, film production companies. At the end of the day, it's up to like whatever the director wants. But when they're looking for music for their projects, obviously music builds an emotion. And honestly, to me, with visuals, like music is actually probably one of the most important things that happens in the visual space. I always use the example of the movie The Social Network, and it was kind of, if you saw it, it was about the making of Facebook. But it was intense. It was like people were at the edge of their seats, but really it was just because of the music, because if you really break it down, it was about a stupid movie about making Facebook, but it was the music that drove it. So all that to say, on the, yeah, we do work with Reach Records. I work with Faith Evans. I work with, I'm trying to think, who else do we work with in the faith-based space? Well, let's just use Reach, for example, like LAKEY. It's like, yeah, his music is dynamic. Lyrically, he can hold his weight with anyone on the mic. So it just depends on like what I'm working on. So if we're working on, an NFL spot and they need that sort of build and that energy, and it's like an inspirational because the player came back from a torn ACL and there's sort of an arc and a narrative, it's like I have to hear that within the music. And, like a LAKEY, like that's what his music does. A lot of times in sync too, there are a lot of instrumentals that are used. And truly, like especially like on the gospel end of things, like we work with Kirk Franklin. If his voice is on it, it's not us. But if he produces something, I know it's technical, we do have it. So I use a lot of just instrumentals that he's produced, and even it'll just be the hook of a choir because he's miking up a 50-person choir, and that could be used again in a sports scene. But it also could be used in a certain scene in the show Euphoria, which is completely the opposite, right? Maybe someone has a revelation. Maybe they're coming out of, if you've seen Euphoria, maybe they're coming out of they're in the hospital coming out of a drug trip and they see the light and then that inspires them to do something else. But just for that moment, that music could be used really well. And the way that me and my team, we try to position these things are, in that scenario, it's like, look, see the scene, come into the light, this, that, and the other. You need a crescendo. You need an actual choir, not something that's just out of the box or someone singing and then they just overlay. It's like, this is the real deal. Listen to what they're saying. This is what the lyrics say. So to me, the way that I look at it, even, again, work with Faith Evans and sat and talked to her, and we were just talking about sync ideas. This is kind of back in the day when she had just signed with us. Obviously, I was a huge fan of hers, but I was like, yo, your music's very, very inspirational. I know just on surface level, it's cool. It's just gonna be in some rom-com that, it's, love like this and this is this and this happens. I'm like, no. So she started sending me things that not on albums or anything like that were just voice notes. And it's yo, maybe we should figure out, complete that, because I can take that for various different shows. And also too, just the music and the message and the feeling truly is global, right? We are, in terms of entertainment, in terms of music, in terms of culture, it's like flat earth. We're all one DM away from talking to someone in India, talking to someone in Poland, talking to someone in Nigeria. So that also means programming and movies and video games and all of these things. So it's very easy to hear, again, a LAKEY song or a Kirk Franklin song and say, it's on the sync side, oh, this is just gonna go in this scene where maybe in The White Lotus they show up to a black church and this is just what it is. But really what I'm trying to do is, okay, cool, that's the layup scene. But how about that same song, we use it in True Detective season 1 when they're in the bayou and they need like the emotion, and it's visceral, and it's giving you sort of hope, but also in a minor key. So it's kind of, you don't know if it's like, is this dark? Is it like, but the choir comes in that gives you like this, that, and the other. Or it can give you inspiration on a Super Bowl commercial. So the way that I look at things is, I'm not an A&R, so I'm not signing things. We sign things, and then I have to put together for a global team. Many people do not even know what gospel is, which is fine, because there's genres that I don't know that I lean on my team globally. But it's like, how do I put these things together for them where it's like, look, this is the layup for this, but have you thought about this? Oh, my UK team, you're working on the next season of Black Mirror. Are there any scenes that, again, they need like inspiration? Are there any scenes where you just need someone without, who has that Black church voice that is singing something, that's like really singing it, and it's just gonna bring some emotion out? So I look at it, obviously it's art, and I'm always down, like art is always number one for me, but my day-to-day job is to look at the strategy of these things. So when we're talking about like Faith in Sync, it's again, there's these easy cues that I'm like, oh, let me just pitch this for this because this is easy. But I truly, the way for me to grow it is to look outside of the box and to have someone say, even if they're just like, never thought about that, and put it to picture and give you a different emotion. So sorry if that's a long run-on sentence without any periods or commas.
We need to see how you work, Chris.
Yeah, but that's just sort of the way that I think about all artists that we work with, but especially those in like, they show up and they're like, this is like what I rap about, this is what I sing about. You'd actually be surprised too, even though they again, like a Lecrae, like what he talks about, but he's actually very open to a lot of different things, like, like video games or first person shooter things. And so long as it sort of aligns with what they want, and I'm on that same journey with them, it's like, I want to do that for them, but then I also want to bring them into the greater world that I see on the film and TV and ads and game side, and maybe give them some like unique perspective on things. So,
Well, I feel like, mainstream artists are redefining this space too, right?
100%.
I mean, The Weeknd just put out a faith-based record, supposedly.
100%. Yeah,
Right?
and well, I look at it this way. I look at it that, right, like faith in general, just for me, is an individual, right? You're on your own journey. I'm on my own journey, like spiritually with faith. Grew up in the church. Do I go to church now? No, but do I feel like I'm spiritual and I'm trying to find answers in my life? I'm a believer on just trying to live a good life day to day, and I'll get those answers. And they'll still open up different questions. So, we work with like Young Thug, and to me, if he has songs that are about like him trying to find his spirituality, because we're humans, so there's a dichotomy in how we exist, right? I already know that I contradict myself all the time. There's certain artists that I canceled, and there's other artists where it's like, I'm gonna cancel them, but I gotta like dance to them at my wedding,
Or you
right?
gotta work with them.
Or I gotta work with them. But so to me, I'm not there to judge in that respect. But to your point, like The Weeknd or some of these other artists crossing in, to, I guess, faith-based either songs or projects, it's like when I sit with them, it's like, how can I strategize about it? And then I'll just end it on this. I think when we say like faith-based, we're probably coming from the point of like, Christianity. But we just signed this artist. He's Palestinian and he's Muslim, and just like listening to like him talk about like his faith, but he's huge, and he makes like R&B similar to The Weeknd. Stuff is like amazing, and it gives me perspective on like where I can help and work with him to sort of expand where his music is. So to me, it's like, again, I like Christian artists, I have Catholic, faith as a whole, exactly.
Right.
So to me, it's interesting. It's
Couple people gonna be mad, but
yeah, it's like growth.
It's always gonna be this way.
It's always going to be this way, but I do think that right now, just in entertainment and art in general, our world is, we can touch Hong Kong in 1 second. We can touch, again, like Ghana in 1 second. We can touch Australia 1 second. So they need to hear this music. They need to hear it in different
faith
contexts.
is universal, is global. Music is global and universal, right?
Yeah, same.
I mean, there's faith-based music in Africa, Asia, Latin America. It's all over the world. This is not isolated to Alabama and Miami, you know? So I think a lot of times people are very narrow-minded in terms of thinking about music and art and the way it reaches all over the world and so many people. And when we start to box things in, it's almost like a race. We're saying, you know, we do this way, and you know, this is my faith and I worship this. Like, we start to isolate each other. And at some point, this is really about us loving each other as human beings and inspiring one another and creating hope in this world. This world is dark right now, you know, in terms of politics and everything we're seeing happen. So it's no better time than now for us to find some sort of front to be on in terms of creators, artists, content, and a resurgence of us finding that center of ourselves and not being distracted by all the things that are happening right now. So,
Quick question. Raise your hand if you make music in this room. Okay. Keep your hand up if you're a producer. All right. Put your hand, everybody hand down. Put your hand up if you're a writer. Okay, so I'd imagine that by now you all have kind of learned the value of having a strong team around you. And I wanted to just acknowledge just the overall sentiment of what Chris was saying, because it's not common for people on the business side to think the way he does. I'm over here I'm like, it's no accident my man has been in it for as long as he has, you know, because I like to work with people who are creative on the business side. As creative as I am, and as open-minded as I have to be to make something new, but that is going to be well received by audiences, I want to work with people. And I have a strong team of people who have an imagination as to where the music could fit. And that's basically what he's saying. And the problem with a lot of music now that we're getting, because sometimes we get this vending machine music, this quick music, is there's such a lack of imagination on the part of so many executives, because so many people are scared to lose their position. They're afraid, versus using their courage to create a different type of job security, because they're the ones that always do something that nobody else can seem to accomplish. And so I just wanted to commend the whole tone behind how he approaches, you know, syncing music and listening for something that the naked eye might not pick up on, but somebody with a vision does, because I don't think you always get that, especially, you know, the reason I'm an artist now is because on the publishing side, for years, I worked with people, you know, without saying any names, who didn't get it right for me. You know, so I was like, look, I'm going to put out my own music. So I think that's not something to be overlooked, you know.
rounds of applause for that. So obviously you're saying as an artist you want to try to remain authentic as possible to your art. And do you see yourself writing for sync at any point in time? Because there are artists that write for sync, but do you just stay authentic to your craft and your talent and then hope that the rest of the world picks up what you're doing?
I like to think, like, create all outside the box. So I love working with female artists because I can just do stuff that just ain't me at all. Just use my imagination, because first and foremost, making music is creative, you know. And I started off writing and producing for other people. I didn't want to be in front of the audiences or cameras or anything.
You were shy?
Huh?
You were shy?
I was far from shy. But I didn't want the limelight, you know what I'm saying? Maybe in the boardroom, but, you know, my cousin Tiffany Goucher, I wanted her to shine. My brother Davion Ferris, I wanted him to shine. My brother Sir, I wanted him to shine. You know what I'm saying? He said he's on the... Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So... and I wanted to be Timbaland. I wanted to be, you know, Quincy. And so, but again, sometimes when you make a music just beyond what's happening in that moment, a lot of people be like, man, I know it's dope. I just don't know what to do with it, you know? And then what they end up doing is playing it for all these people. Like, there were people who had catalogs of our music, but who would, like, allow it to influence what they were putting out. Like, they were collecting our stuff to influence how they went. Like, you know, Mary J. Blige has an album right now that's the title of a song that I wrote, and that they said she was gonna put that song on the album and had recorded it, but instead they had Tricky and a Dream do it because they were the guys at the time, and it was just so much stuff like that that had us like, look, we're gonna put out our own stuff. But ultimately, every musician wants to be able to kind of chill, keep making music, lose the craziness of being an artist, because being an artist is not one job, it's a million jobs. You know what I'm saying? Being a producer can be maybe 3, you know what I'm saying? You still gotta show up and be in the boardrooms at times, but...
And now you're an actor too, so throw
And
that
I'm an
on there.
actor too. Y'all pray for me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
So, JALYN, let's go back to Grammy stuff. So,
Yes.
the categories, like, I just want to put the messaging out in terms of, like, what the landscape looks like in terms of entries and what type of music is coming through with Christian hip-hop and inspirational. And, you know, again, so many mainstream artists come out, like Kanye and, you know, Tori Kelly, and they enter into gospel, you know, and a lot of times they end up winning that category, right? So, you know, I just think we talked about the restructuring, but, you know, just tell everybody a little bit about how they're set up now and where you see the lack of entries, and maybe we need more entries with Christian hip hop or R&B or.
Yeah, for sure. So the way our genres are set up now, we have gospel album, CCM album, gospel performance/song, CCM performance/song, and roots gospel album. And so what's interesting about the gospel field and CCM field is that it's a genre that also takes all other genres. So like, even though gospel is the genre, there's also country gospel, southern gospel, I guess black gospel, you know, worship music. And so it is, you know, interesting seeing how many different categories are within that one category, and how to make sure they're all represented is what's most important to us, is making sure our membership body and that our submissions are reflecting the actual community that we serve. And as of now, you know, we're seeing a lot of everything. We're seeing a lot of the hip hop entries. We could use some more. We're seeing a lot of, you know, CCM. We're seeing a lot of gospel. Gospel album, you know, we might need a couple more gospel album submissions. But also, a lot of people don't know that you have to submit to the Academy. So yeah, the submissions are important. But anyway,
And I think that
go ahead.
gap a lot of times is for independent artists. Like, if you have a label, they're going to enter you. If you're on RCA Inspiration, Motown Gospel, the label is going to take care of that. But if you're an independent artist, you don't necessarily know about the process, or you can do it, or you can become a member. And while I was there, that was a big initiative for me. Even though I was in awards, I was really big on educating artists about the Academy and how it could work for them, and how it was important to be a part of the nucleus of the business. You know, people are like, oh, I ain't gonna win no Grammy, or I gotta go up against this person. It's not really about that. It's about putting yourself in position. You don't know how God is gonna work things for you. And if you wanna be in this business and you wanna be at the top of the level of this business, you wanna interface and interact with that world. So it's just about putting yourself in an opportunity to get what you need done, to network, to meet producers, publishers, managers, engineers, songwriters. So there's so much that comes from being a member and not just going to the show, not just, you know, going to the Grammys and winning one. So I'm just putting that message out there for anyone that's not a member yet. You know, I don't work there anymore, but I'm living proof that that place works, because I was a member first. I was on the committees for urban alternative music and then gospel music before I ever worked there. And then I ended up switching seats and overseeing the category. So I know how this place can benefit you, just in terms if you have your mindset on, you know, there's a plan and the things that you want to do in your life. A lot of times you're aligned with those things, but you have to put yourself in position to do that. And that's just a great place to start and be a part of the organization that you want to be in that business. So it's really kind of that simple. But back to you, sir. Let's talk to you again. So let's talk about this.
Oh, yeah, I actually had a question real quick while we on the topic.
All right.
I submitted to be a Grammy member. They ain't got back to me yet.
Talk to her.
How long does the process take? And can you expedite it?
Well, somebody else in this room might be able to expedite it for you. No, I'm kidding.
If you don't ask, you never know.
Yeah, so the membership process is a whole thing. We have 3 tiers of membership. We have Grammy U, we have professional, we have voting. Grammy U, just as it sounds, is for our students that are in college. They don't vote, they don't submit. We have professional members. Those are exactly what it sounds like. It's your managers, it's your publishers, it's your executives, your music executives. And then we have our voting membership, which I'm assuming is what you applied for. And the voting membership is just creators, artists, producers, engineers, etc. They're all creators, and that's what makes the Grammy special, is that it's a peer-to-peer voted award. Like you're being voted on by your peers. And so when it comes to the membership process, on March 1st, everybody, that's our deadline for folks to get 2 recommendations in. You need 2 recommendations from music industry folks. They don't have to be members, they just have to be in the industry. Once those recommendations come in, you'll get an opportunity to submit your own credentials, submit your own information about yourself. That then goes on to be reviewed by our peer review panel, and then everybody hears back in June, similar to like a class. So that's how it kind of goes. It's almost like a full year process before you find out whether you've been accepted or not. And we can talk about it maybe offline as to what happened there. But yeah, that's essentially how the process goes. And yeah, I hope that answered your question.
No, that was perfect. That makes sense too, cause I didn't do it like hecka long ago. It's probably like some months ago.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little minute.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For sure.
I had a question too. I was nominated up against Meg Thee Stallion, and she didn't say nothing to me at the Grammys, so I really want to know why she was beating. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Megan, what's going on?
You're going to have to take it up with Meg. Okay?
She looked at me all kinds of mean too.
Oh, man, I hate to hear that, brother.
You're going to write a song for her, don't worry.
No, I'm not.
So, you guys have both had a sync placement? You've both had a sync placement?
Yeah, I've had some sync placements.
What was your first sync placement?
Go for it.
My first one, it was on a TV show. Yeah. Wait, no, actually, wait, hold on. Like, cause licensing and sync is different.
Same thing.
Same thing? Oh man, my first placement for real was with Sephora. I made it.
Huge. It was a commercial?
Nah, I had made a song for Sephora. So like, I made this song just kind of promoting like they products and kind of uplifting women. And I like went in the store, I shot the video, and they loved it. Like they commented on it and stuff. And then it just kind of like went under the rug. And then at the time, I was on Hinge, and I matched.
That's a real good story. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Came about.
You need to like put this as a Netflix show right here.
Can't get this on Netflix, so let's do it here.
I can't make this up. So I made the song. You know, it was popping for a little bit. Then like maybe like a couple weeks passed by. I matched with this young lady on Hinge, and she just so happened to be the marketing director at Sephora.
Perfect.
Crazy. So I'm like,
Match of a lifetime. They do have a business side of Hinge, right? They do business in person.
nah, this wasn't the business side I was doing. I can't make this up. But yeah, so I told her, I was like, hey, man, I just did y'all a song. That's crazy. Like, God working, man. And she checked it out. She loved it. She showed her team. Her whole team loved it. And then they made like this. Well, she got me paid. And then we did like this whole video where I kind of like took her on a date. And that was it. I never really seen her again after that.
Great first.
Hey, but shout out her. I forgot her name.
Oh,
but God
no.
bless her, man. I hope she in good spirits right now.
You should have kept her. Kept her in your pocket.
It's a crazy story, man.
Marketing is
Reasons and
important.
seasons.
All right, well, I haven't heard that one ever before, but what you got, D?
Okay. First off,
You gotta
that was
beat that.
hilarious. Thank you for that.
You better come with something good.
I can't compete with that. I'm just be straightforward. My first sync play since Rhythm and Flow was on a Deion Taylor film called Fatale. They synced my song. It was like the ending credits song, no commas, and then since then I've had a sync on Bel Air, several on Mayor of Kingstown, the show that I'm in. After my like piano scene, it cuts into Shame on You. I've had a couple on Rhythm and Flow. Reasonable Doubt, I had one on there, and then Rhythm and Flow season 2. And then there was one Mark Wahlberg movie that had a interesting song I went in there and made with them. It was like part rap techno thing, and I was like, hey, if that's what y'all want, let's go. But the sync play is a cool play, man. That's something I want to do more. Reason being, it's similar to when I said, like, I get to just be more expressive, more moody, more cinematic. Like most musicians, especially church musicians, can go places that your artistry won't even allow you to go. Like I have stuff where I'll just sit down, and if I allow myself to abandon what I think I want to make for D-Smoke, I can make some stuff that's really compelling, moody. It just makes me feel a certain way. And sometimes it's just vocal arrangements. Like when I'm traveling to Pittsburgh, I'll bring my studio and I'll make stuff that, like I don't have a keyboard, so if I want to make a chord, I'll do one part at a time, and I'll do whole arrangements and that are more like samples, you know. And if I had somebody talking like he was talking earlier, I'll just send it to him like, look, this belongs somewhere. And that's the thing, as artists, when we make it, we know we land on something like that, we like, this belongs somewhere, you know. And so that's why I want to get more into it, because then I can just create stuff that really showcase what I'm capable of as a producer and a writer versus D-Smoke. D-Smoke, the brand, is angry. Like, I did D-Smoke because I was tired of niggas. Like, man, I'm gonna step up and just, you know what I'm saying? Really creatively, I'm more somewhere in the, you know, and I'm more gospel away
when
from
you're on the
this.
piano.
I know the piano, that was, but again, I would have never, like D-Smoke kicked the door in so that Daniel could be like, I'm here, hey, how y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? They would have never been able to see my piano moment had I not, you know, battled and then been stomping on the stage. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the world we're in. And what did Dave Chappelle's mom say? Sometimes you have to be a lion in order to be the house cat that you really are or something. I'm saying that all bad. You know what I'm saying? But y'all listen to Dave Chappelle. He wise too.
So are you pitching your own stuff? Like, I know people are obviously always wanting to know how to get your stuff into sync. You were obviously on a show that's a blessing and that has opened up all doors, but do you have an agent that's pitching? Like, how are you getting these opportunities?
That's a good question. My syncs have all come organically, to keep it a buck, which probably means I'm leaving a gang of money on the table. Because there's so much money under D-Smoke that I can't put out. Like, I believe there is a such thing as too much when we're a certain type of artist. Like, and then other artists are like, look, flood the market. But, you know, I like to distinguish myself. So if it's too much of me, then they like, I'm tired of that, right? Where it's funny because it's never too much turn up. Niggas are like, we need another one. It only got a short shelf life anyway. Give me another one. Whereas, you know, some people idolize my first album. I'll be like, nigga, it's two more. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, we might have to have a conversation after this so I can shoot you some, you know what I'm saying, some of the things that I love that I'm just not looking to put out anytime soon for whatever reason.
But Sir's your brother or cousin?
Sir's my blood brother.
Brother, yeah. Because I told you he's son.
Yeah, he younger than me though. Everybody think he older.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a really good dude. Yeah, I had good conversations with him when we signed him, and then we're connected with, because my friend is Thurs, who's like from Inglewood. That's like my dog from back in the day, so.
Well, just in general, like artists, you know, my biggest thing as a supervisor, obviously I'm getting pitched a lot, you know, on a daily basis. And I'm actually looking for faith-based crossover artists. That's like the artists that I'm specifically, purposely looking for. And I just think I'm a different supervisor, cut from a different cloth. Like, I'm not worried about what the producers are looking for as much as I'm trying to help them find what they need to be looking for, right? So that's kind of always been my approach, because I'm just more of an A&R producer ear. And for me, like, I want to change the culture. I want to change the narrative. I want to shift things. And, you know, labels, they're pitching and they're doing all that stuff already for artists. So I'm looking to break talent. That's what I'm looking for. And I've been in rooms with executives and artists, and they're telling musicians, like, it's too faith adjacent in terms of content. And I hate hearing that, because I'm like, don't change what you're doing for nobody. Because at the end of the day, God is going to provide the opportunity for you that you're supposed to have. You don't have to change your music. You don't have to change the way you talk. You don't have to do that, because it's going to present itself. So that advice I give to anybody working on anything: stay authentic to you, because there's a lane opening up. Everything that's been happening is all intentional. The marketing, the dollars, everything we're seeing culturally is not positive. You know, this next generation, they're getting force-fed things that, you know, I wouldn't want nobody to see sometimes. And it's just like, there has to be a balance. You know, if you want ratchet, have at it. Like, no one's taking that away, but there's just not a balance. The same amount of resources and money and things are not always put behind faith-based artists the way they should. But that's changing, that's shifting. And it takes artists like Kanye and DJ Mustard and Drake and all these other artists that have done these crossover records. You know, Drake's biggest song is God's Plan, billions of streams. You know, Sunday Service was necessary. People think Kanye is crazy and write him off now, but he's going through real life in front of all of us, period. And he's a genius, and he's doing that whatever way he can do best at this point. So for us, I just think, you know, we need to embrace creativity as it is. You know, we all are always going to have differences. But, you know, people like me, artists like this, publishers like Chris, we see things from a different lens, and it's not one-dimensional, and we want to continue to shift changes in this industry and not just do business as usual.
Okay, can I touch on what you had just said about that, like staying unique? Man, one of my biggest placement, my biggest placement that I got was Madden 2024, and in the song I said, can't nobody do me like I do me, and I don't care to be nobody else, because I'm unique. I'm fine with me. I am God and God is me. Dream so big might die in my sleep, but I ain't running from it. But it was crazy how this was a song that I did with Just Incredible from Power 106. He had a whole album, and with a bunch of like street artists and people, you know, like the other side of music, which is cool. And man, they chose out of that whole album had like 25 songs on it. They chose that track, and he chose to put that track first. And I'm so grateful that I had the courage to be my authentic self, and it ended up getting a placement organically, like D Smoke was talking about. And that's my biggest placement right there. So yeah, man, shout out to Most High, man. Madden 2024, and that was a lot of people's favorite song on the track. It's called Unique, if y'all want to listen to it.
And you didn't have to go back to Hinge, so we're happy about that.
Yeah, nah, man. Shout out Hinge.
Yo, seriously, man, we need a script writer for that Hinge story, because that is a Netflix
That's
short.
all you, Chris. That's all you.
I know. Hey, don't steal his IP.
So we got last words from you guys. Any last words for everybody?
Man, I would just say, man, just make sure y'all doing what's best for you, and allow people to do whatever is best for them. And when you're doing what's best for you, people that are supposed to gravitate to you, they gon' do that. And the people that's not, man, just let them keep doing them, man. But the right people
get curious about what you own or your beliefs is when you doing what's best for you. So yeah, man, just put yourself first. Make sure y'all love yourself, man.
JALYN, any last thoughts?
I kind of feel like I left my last thoughts with this gentleman over here. I encourage you all, if you are musicians, if you're artists, if you're in the music space, get involved with the Recording Academy. I feel like people think we're on some some high hill somewhere that's unreachable, but we're really just an email away. I'm an email away. Yeah, get engaged with the Academy, see what's going on, and we need y'all to do better. We need y'all to be involved in order for us to make changes and evolve. So that's all I got.
I want to shout you out because you did something really great and big while you've been there, which is bring in a new category, the poetry album category. You work with J. Ivy to do that.
I did. Shout out J. Ivy for that. That was really dope.
The first Grammy was given last year, or the year before, 2 years ago.
It was like 2 years ago. I think this is the third year. This was the third year. So going strong.
Now poetry's on the map, so.
Yeah, man, in a huge way. So, yeah, if y'all do spoken word poetry, hit me up.
Well, thank you guys for coming out tonight. You want to say something?
No.
Yes, you did. No. Forget it.
I was just gonna freestyle a poem. Man.
I was
Let's
about
go.
to say, I want to hear something. He did something. You don't do nothing? No. Okay. All right.
I'm not prepared with my Christian raps today, so
You got something in your spirit. You got your cross on. So.
praise God, praise God.
Can we close it with a prayer? But Angela, you gotta lead us. You gotta lead us, man. You got us
It's my
here.
prayer, being here with you guys. No, but I just want to thank God for opening up this door for all of us to be in tonight, because this is something I feel like all of us have a desire for, a relationship with Him in the world that we're in, as I said today. And I just pray for everybody in this room, when they leave here, that they're walking in their purpose and that God will continue to be by their side and hear their heart and answer their desires. So in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you at this first Faith in Sync. And we're looking for sponsors, so as we take this on the road. But I want to thank Jason from Audio Vibes for making this possible. SOHO Works for letting us crash this spot. Black Nile for performing tonight. All of my panelists. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Angela. This was dope.